Hey, thanks for joining us here at DPS HQ, where we're going to continue with It's Always Winter Somewhere series. And today I'm joined by Caleb Merrill. And Caleb, just looking through our history together, of course, you started your avalanche career in Big Cottonwood Canyon, right, in '06. You hung around there. You were an avalanche professional there. You, looking through your bio, you spent a number of years in both the Ruby Mountains and Alaska. Tell me a little bit about Wallowa. You said you landed there, what, 10 years ago and just instantly fell in love?
I started coming out to northeastern Oregon about 5 years ago, and
Okay.
it's an amazing range and doesn't see a ton of traffic and gets quite a bit of good intermountain snow. So yeah, when I found this place, when I came upon this place, I kind of knew immediately that I wanted to move here eventually. So we were fortunate enough to move here in the last couple of years. It's great living. There's no stoplights in the whole county, and it's pretty amazing mountains here.
Right on. And I guess, you know what, just kind of going through my cerebral hard drive, where I got the 10 years mistaken is the Avalanche Hour podcast. That's what you've been doing for a decade, right?
That's right. Yeah. After I left the Wasatch, I was kind of searching for some avalanche related podcasts, and didn't find any. And actually, I was driving to the 2016 International Snow Science Workshop in Breckenridge.
Right.
And after that, we kind of kicked off the podcast. And you've been a guest on the podcast. That was quite a while ago.
It was a
But I
minute or
remember,
two ago. Yeah, like
yeah.
like one of your very first podcasts, and we talk about the national and global spread of avalanche education and Know Before You Go in particular. So felt really
Exactly.
blessed to talk to you.
Yeah, which you
Awesome,
started.
man.
You had a big hand in starting Know Before You Go, and congratulations on your retirement, by the way, and thank you for everything that you've put into all the work that you've done to spread the good word of avalanche education and all the forecasting that you've done, all those early mornings. How many years you worked for the UAC, Craig?
26 for the UAC, and there ain't no slowing down this Mustang right now. So, we're keeping the pedal to the metal, and I'm super stoked that you're part of this series because, it's not only nice to reconnect with you. I mean, just over your shoulder, man, you've got quite the quiv of outdoor gear there, and you sent me an email with some of the gear that you're packing and you're headed for a big trip, and it sounds like in the next couple of days.
Yeah, I'm leaving my house tomorrow. Got a little family reunion to go to, down in Utah, and then heading to Santiago. So, and I'll be heading a little bit further south from there, about 6 hours south of Santiago to, I'll be based out of Nevados de Chillán,
Uh,
which is near the little town of Las Trancas. And I'll be there for about 6 weeks.
well,
Yeah.
right on. Well, here in Hot Lake City, we have just been scorching this summer. I'm trying to keep my year-round ski streak alive. And so, as I started this project in partnership with DPS, we wanted to reach out to Avi professionals, ski guides, DPS ambassadors like yourself. So basically, man, I'm going to live vicariously through you. So if this is my first time to Chile, what could I expect?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you've been tracking the weather, but right now you could expect a lot of snow. The
Right
early
on.
season for the Andes was quite dry, 2 months of relatively low snow, maybe in the northern Andes, maybe a total of, 40 to 60 centimeters total snowfall in the first couple months of winter. And then man, did it slam the Andes. Things set up, and in the last weekish, 15 feet of snow, 15 to 17 feet of snow in Portillo. The roads are closed. They've been doing a bunch of avalanche control work. And as you can imagine, you know what it's like getting ski areas set up at the early season. The crews down there are just working to open terrain as they can in the midst of these intense storms. so I guess I'm down a rabbit hole here already about current conditions. But some of the things, okay, Craig, when you're out skiing in the Wasatch, midwinter, and you're looking for dry snow, what aspects do you normally go to?
Well, I'm always searching out the polars,
Yep.
right? But, and I know we're talking about two different compass orientation here, but always searching out the polars. But something that I always keep in my quiver is oftentimes the polars are where they're sketchiest. And so I'll swing over to the solars. I kind of think of that as paddling out and having like a nice knee high, thigh high day on a longboard, and I'm surfing with dolphins. And I'll wait for those polars to settle out and gain some strength before I start looking at that kind of terrain.
Right. So in the northern hemisphere, we think of polars as maybe north-facing slopes, east-facing slopes. In the southern hemisphere, we kind of got to flip that, right? So maybe our solar slopes are our north aspects, and our polar slopes are south aspects, right? So generally, south half of the compass. So that's pretty important to know, I think. Some other important things to know is, you know, just the flexibility. I've found the most the best trips that I've had have been when I'm flexible. And so trying not to lock in too many dates in too many different places, but kind of see where the snow's falling, see what the freezing levels are doing, and stay flexible if you're able to do that and you're that type of person that can kind of just go with the flow. Keeping things a little bit open-ended might benefit you. I think, I've spent a little bit of time down in Bariloche in northern Patagonia, and I would fly through Buenos Aires sometimes. I would say if you're heading down to South America, a smoother connection is through Santiago, no matter if you're going to Argentina. And then the bus systems from Santiago and some of the major cities in Chile, it's very easy to hop on a bus overnight. They're like sleeper buses, and you can wake up in Argentina, right? So exploring some of those options, I think, just kind of opens the possibilities a little bit more. And that was something that I didn't know the first time I went down there. I think also I had the benefit of some friends showing me around down there, and I honestly I don't have the best Spanish skills, but meeting people and just kind of, it's amazing the greater family of skiing, right? It transcends boundaries, and you just get out there, and even if you don't have the language skills that maybe you hope you did, the skiing can speak a common language for sure. So I think, all the people that I've met down in South America, it feels like a South American family. And that's like one of the best parts of going back down there is the connections that I've made with the people, and the warmth of the culture down there is wonderful. So,
and that's a common thread that I hear with a lot of folks who migrate from the Wasatch, South America, and do the summer ski gig down there. That, yeah, very welcoming environment, very welcoming locals. And that bus system sounds super rad, when you say, oh, you wake up and you're in Argentina. I mean, it reminds me of a surf trip I was on when I was a teenager. Like, what? I woke up in Argentina. This is crazy. But it sounds like, the culture there really makes it easy not only to weave in and out of, but also to get around. And I'm getting from you, like, flexibility is really the big ticket. And let's just talk about snow. What kind of snow conditions can I expect? And I'm going to follow that up with, I know that we're into a big AR, the two sexiest words in meteorology, atmospheric river, right? So you're just getting a big fire hose there. Tell me what kind of setup this is giving for our snowpack and for our avalanche conditions, and then what you expect moving forward.
right. So, I mean, you know better than anybody, Craig, that it's always changing, right? And so,
Right.
I would say when I go down to South America, I don't always expect to have day after day after day of blow or pow. There's a lot of exposure, so we can be skiing wind buff a lot, wind pack snow. And yeah, you said it, that AR has just been kind of aimed right at the central Andes. I'm going to share my screen here and
I
see if
love
we
it.
can look at a couple forecast products. So yeah, this is for Nevados de Chillán for the next week. So what has happened is, like I said, very dry early season, and then it came in like a lion, 15 to 17 feet. And Craig was the fluctuating snow levels. There was some warm air coming in with some of those pulses, and so the snow level was fluctuating, and they got quite a high rain level about a week ago, and then again 2 days ago. And so, if you're looking at this forecast, of course, we've got winds in kilometers per hour here. We're looking at a 2,400 meter elevation, so that's kind of the top of the ski area. And then some pretty impressive snow totals as we watch. Hopefully these temperatures stay steady below freezing. But right here, looking on Thursday, 52 centimeters forecasted. So again, another thing that I make sure to clue into is what's the freezing level, and we can kind of anticipate some layers in the snowpack based on where that rain level was. Unfortunately, likely some rain crusts in the snowpack. But as we know, that can kind of be nice for building a nice base and a good foundation for our snowpack. So I think almost any range these days are seeing more intense weather events and then more rain events higher on the mountain than maybe in recent past or in our recent memory. So that's certainly something that's on my mind, is kind of like, where are those rain crusts and what's going to happen around those rain crusts. If it stays warm, I think we'll get lots of healing. If we go into a big cold snap and get another thin rain crust and then some cold snow on top of that, that could be the setup that we do not like in terms of avalanche conditions. Speaking of
it's with the rain crust too, and this is where we're going to tap into your local expertise, that folks who are visiting the zone, of course, they can look at the weather. Where would they go for some more region-wide specific Abby forecasting?
Yeah, so pretty interesting. I'll pull this tab up if I can navigate my teams here. So the Andes Avalanche Center is something that just started this year. A fellow named Forrest Schmidt, originally from the States. He's been living in this region of Chile here for the last 14 years, is married to a Chilean, and has a backcountry guiding operation. And so he's kind of starting a platform here that you'll be able to read a forecast for different.
Oh, this is rad.
Or for different regions, forecasting for 11 regions in Chile and 6 regions or provinces in Argentina. So it's much modeled after the North American model. He's got a bottom line here. He's got his avalanche problems, his likelihood size, sensitivity, and distribution. So very familiar to the North American user.
Perfect.
Yeah. So this is pretty cool, and it's brand new. And I think it's going to kind of start to develop a little bit further. If you are further south in Argentina, around Bariloche, Cerro Bayo, and San Martin de los Andes, they have another avalanche center there that has been growing in the last 4 or 5 years, and is fairly impressive in the forecasting that they're doing and the network that they're growing, both in public observations, but also with professional observations coming from their forecasters.
Oh man, that's huge information. And I mean, not only do we have people who are chasing snow and chasing storms, we also have athletes, we have ski teams that are training. So, to see that North American parallel helps folks out down the road, and they know the product that they're getting. Hey, with this big AR and the fire hose, of course, we're going to have some rain crust within the snowpack. Probably going to offer some good structure, could offer some tricky avalanche conditions. We're going to watch that. But for this kind of snow, what would be a DPS gun that you'd pull out of the quiver?
Well, I mean, this last week and moving into this week, if I had the Lotus with me, that would be the ski, I think. But in my quiver, I'm not going to take my DPS 112, the CFL 112, although it's a tough decision. So my kind of quiver of one, because you don't want to be too loaded down with skis traveling, especially if you're taking buses, you kind of want to be light and fast. And so I look for nimble for sure. And so I look for kind of like, what's that one ski that's going to cover most of the conditions? And for me, that's the Pagoda CFL 105. Super versatile ski. It's very light. And I will sometimes ski my tech bindings in bounds, right? And it doesn't really bother me. This year I'm taking a pair of alpine skis as well, the Kaizen 105, because that kind of hits the mark in the resort for any condition, right? But with the, if you're kind of really looking at the forecast and you've got a small window and it's going to be dumping, and you're going after touring, I'd probably take my CFL Pagoda 112s. Yeah.
All right. Great advice. And then I love this, for a first timer like myself, folks who are tuning in. Where can folks find you if they wanted some more information or information about guiding or just to connect the dots?
Yeah, you can reach out to me at my website, wallowabackcountryguides.com. And we're offering a couple trips down there at the end of August and early September, all inclusive. We stay at a lodge. We get some tickets to the ski area. There's 3 volcanoes to summit and ski off of from the ski area, and hot springs to ski down to, have a soak, and then ski on back down to the base area for some après and stuff. So there's a lot of cool opportunities down there. And yeah, I'd love to show people around, show the zone that I've gotten to know down there. And yeah, you can find me at wallowabackcountryguides.com or on Instagram at wallowabackcountryguides.
I love it, man. Not only am I going to be following you, I'll probably chase you down and we will connect in person. And I so appreciate the inside line, the beta, and right back at you. Thanks for your commitment to this community, for helping to keep people safe for a really long time. Thanks for joining us here at DPS. And remember that this is a place that the weather might change, but we can always count on design, performance, and soul, man. Just like you. I'm going to look forward to connecting with you soon, Caleb.
Love it. Can't wait to make some turns with you, Craig.
Absolutely, my man. Be safe. Peace be with you, bro.
Later.